Hello everybody, and welcome to Behind the Curtain, the very active and ongoing series where I fail parkour jumps, where I talk about my week and a running theme around it. It has been 9 months since the last time I did this, and I thought, you know what, let's bring it back. For context, this probably, maybe a few people that see this will probably never know what this is. Basically, it is a series that I used to run like kind of weekly, where I, as I say, talk about my week and a running theme throughout. I like to be quite open, just in general about things, because you know it's also a way to kind of inspire people to kind of also be more open and be like, you know, sometimes you can see your own situations in other people and it can help you. But anyway. Yeah, I haven't done this in 9 months, and I apologize for that. You're also probably wondering why I sound so terrible. It's because I'm ill, and that's why I'm recording this, because I'm not in work. But how's it going? It's been a while since the last one of these, so I'm trying to think of stuff I need to catch up on over the last 9 months of the year. So I guess it's kind of like a year review, maybe. We'll see where we go with this. Anyway. It's been a while, guys. What happened last year? What were the big things that happened last year that I should go ahead and talk about? So from the last video, that would have been filmed if it was 9 months ago. It would have been, what, March? March last year? April? One of the two? I feel like I need to sneeze. Oh, God. I did not think about this. Anyway. So, what was, like, cool stuff that happened last year? We had, of course, like, the lads that went through. That was, a lot of fun. I mean, we also had some sort of... we had a few issues here and there with that. But... it was much more fun than the year before, that's for sure. And there were some really good moments there. We did release some videos that you might have seen. I'm speaking to this like there's going to be a lot of people watching. There's probably like 10 people, but you know, the game is the game. We had a lot of fun. There was a few videos that were released. There's still like the lads bingo that was released, but, well, not released, that was filmed, but hasn't been released. But it's in a rough spot because it's really hard to edit because it's just very time consuming for somebody who works, you know, 5 days a week. And, basically somebody who's in the video isn't around anymore, and it's like, yeah, it leaves it into like a weird middling spot, like where I don't know, man. But maybe one day I'll see the daylight, or maybe it'll just be like last year's bingo and never exist, which is most likely going to be the case. Other than that, like other big stuff that happened last year, I did a lot more performance stuff. Most of it I kind of did upload on this channel actually, so you can go ahead and check that out. I did like a like 3-song set and a charity performance, which was like not rehearsed or anything, and I just kind of went with the vibes, just choreographed it in my head and then went for it just live on the stage, and that was a lot of fun. I was really proud of myself for that. And then the most recent show I was in as well, doing a few different songs. I can't remember which one did I upload any of them? Did I? I can't remember. But I did a song from Spirited. I did Defying Gravity from Wicked. I did a song from I wore a dress and a fake bra, and I did a song from Six, but it was all men doing it because it was funny. And that, I won't like, last year I'm like, overall last year I am like happy with the stuff that I sort of did. I kind of pushed myself out of my comfort zone more, which gradually sort of you do want to do that with life in general, right? Still not like perfect by any means. I sort of like tweet this on my private Twitter, but I'll sort of like go into it here because it kind of makes sense to. Last year, I think like in general, I was just like quite naive going into it because obviously we had the whole sort of situation with a member of the community that's no longer around anymore, that had been going on for like a year. And kind of knowing that was kind of eventually coming to a close, I was kind of naive going into 2024 thinking, oh, you know what, this is going to be peak, like that weight's going to be off my chest, and then we're just going to, you know, we're going to go back to normal. And obviously that's never going to be the case, right? Like, in general, last year I went into it thinking things could just go back to kind of before bad stuff happened, which is, it's never the case. I mean, doesn't mean that things can't be better, but things can't ever be the same, right? Sometimes you have situations that happen and things just won't go back to the same, and it's not a bad thing to kind of accept that, because just because it won't be the same doesn't mean it can't be better. It's not necessarily going to be worse, you know. And I think there's definitely some things in general from like 2024 that like took a hit from that year or earlier, that, you know, I'm still feeling the repercussions of today, or I was in 2024, you know what I mean? But these things happen and we just gotta kind of keep moving. But yeah, in general, that was kind of my thought going into 2024, and obviously I think I was disappointed to begin with based off that. I think in general as well, we did have it's hard to like touch on this topic, but in 2024 we had quite a few people in sort of our group that are no longer in our group. Is the way I'll put it. People that have done bad things, and that, I mean, as you guys will probably know from these videos, if you are an active watcher of the 9-month-long hiatus series, I really care about the people that I interact with, and it not just in the sense of like I care about them. I care about like who they are. So, like, finding out that people you're friends with or whatever do bad things, bad people, blah blah blah. Lisa sort of cutting them off, and it's not a thing that I enjoy doing in any way, shape, or form, but it's something that we have done quite a lot in 2024, and I think that is kind of a big standout thing that happened in the last year, right? Which I guess it shouldn't be a standout thing. That makes it sound positive when it is not, but it was necessary, right? It was the right thing to do, and sometimes it's not the easy thing to do or the nice thing to do, but sometimes it's the right thing to do, and you just got to do that, right? But yeah, other good stuff in the year. Like I was saying, the show performances were great. We also had in general in a group, the lads, we had some really like nice wholesome additions to the group, which honestly, I mean, started last year, like I was kind of touching on, lads. Over time, I mean, lads' activity has been dwindling, mainly because of some core active people that just kind of aren't around anymore for various reasons, and it's basically been like. It's hard because you don't want to like say anybody's like a pillar of a group or anything, but it's hard to see calls being active without like a few certain people being in them. So the less and less like major players per se that are active, then in general the less active the whole group is. And I think last year, especially to the start, we kind of had that issue a lot. Especially because I've said this before, but I don't see myself as somebody who is like that. Like the kind of person where like you'd see me somewhere and be like, oh, I'll check it out. Like, if I was in a VC somewhere, I don't think I'm the sort of person where a lot of people would go, oh, I'll join that VC. And I've had this conversation with a few different people. But like I say, I like to just openly talk about things in this series, and that is definitely not a concern I have, but it's something I definitely think about. In general, I was thinking about this last night. I was like, it would be really nice to, like, let's say you go somewhere with like a bunch of your friends, and like nobody really wants to admit it, right? But like when you're somewhere with a big group of people, you'll always have your like go-tos, right? Like as in, let's say you're sitting on a train, and you get on the train, and like there's 6 of your friends in each like a double seat, but with a seat free to the right or left of them, right? Like where would you sit? Everybody has a preference, right? Like who you would gravitate to in a situation like that. And I was thinking last night, like, I don't think I'm that for anybody, and it's fine, but like it would be cool, I don't know. I just think about it because, I mean, like I say, there is definitely in situations people that I naturally gravitate to, right? Because it's people that I feel like I can bounce off more, or I can relax more with, or anything. And I was just thinking about that in bed last night. I was like, I wonder if anybody does do that, like think of me in a way of being like, oh yeah, let's go here, or I don't really think anyone necessarily does, and they shouldn't have to either by any means, but like it would be nice to. But it links to sort of the stuff that I've kind of spoke to a lot, like I spoke about previously, is like you don't know what people think of you when you're not around because you're not around. So like I do always wonder sort of. There's a lot of times where I'll sit there and I hear, we'll have conversations about people, and someone will go, oh, this person's like amazing. This person's like such a nice person. Like, honestly, they're one of the kindest people I know, or like sing somebody's praises. And obviously that is really cool to hear that people are, even when somebody's not around, that's so positive about them. But I whenever I hear stuff like that, it's me being fully selfish. But I'll sit there and think like, man, I hope people think that about me as well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as we don't kind of obsess over it. But it's definitely a thing I'll think, and it doesn't like demean anyone else saying like, oh, this person's amazing, because I'm sure they are, especially if my friends saying it, because I put a lot of trust and faith into my friends, But those are the sort of things I do think about a lot, and I think that has been something that did happen a lot this last year, and it definitely is still now, otherwise I wouldn't be breaking it up, but it's kind of something that's in the forefront of my mind at the moment that I feel like is pretty relevant to talk about. Other than that last year stuff, like I sort of said, we had a lot of people that sort of left the group for various reasons, and I think at the end of the year, kind of looking at it as a whole, it definitely did impact me a lot. And I think the main way is because all the people that I surround myself with are people that I, you know, enjoy hanging out with, or like see parts of myself in, or see something I want to be in. You know that saying where like you don't want to ever be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. That sort of thing, where it's like I surround myself with people who I genuinely, hand on heart, think are funnier than me. Like I really do not. I don't know. Maybe I come across. I hope I don't come across like I think that, but like I really do not put myself highly in regards to many things in life compared to other people. There's only like a select few things that I would, and those things are like I might get a little stubborn with saying, like, because you know, we all want to have some things that we feel like we are stronger at, but none of them are like anything personality based, right? As I've kind of always said, the only things that I feel like I do like excel at, if that's the word, is like my heart, I guess. But that's not like a thing you excel at, you know what I mean? And even something like that feels so weird to say. But like, you know, around people, I will always sit and be like, oh, I look up to you and your ability to do this. Even people who are like, it's not like an age thing, right? It's not where I'm like, oh man, I can only look up to people who are older than me. Nah, I look up to so many people who are younger than me. And like, that's not weird by any means. It's just that a lot of the times we see things and see people and we think, oh wow, we admire someone and be like, wow, I wish I could be like them in this way or that way. And you know, whether it's humor, whether it's confidence, whether it's just like the vibe that someone can give across, or like the ability that somebody has to do something. We always kind of do that. And the reason why I say this, so this, I promise this isn't actually just waffle like most of my points, is because with those people leaving in the sort of last year, they were all people that like I either saw a big part of myself in, or I really looked up to. And so having, I think it was about 4 people just off the top of my head leave for bad reasons. It's hard. It took a big kind of note on me as an individual, because I looked at all of that and thought, well, how different am I from them, you know? And of course I'm my own person compared to those people, but just being able to sit there and think of all the sort of times that we've had, and how close that I got to those people, and how similar we just seemed in conversation or day to day, and just to then find out what they were capable or willing to do, did scare me, and it still does. And yeah, it's not a thing I feel great about, but I think I also kind of need to accept that like it's not a bad thing. And I think I in general I have a sort of good way of kind of working my mind in that sense of like, while it is, you know, in a sense, yeah, it's a bad thing to think that and be worried about that, it also keeps me like grounded, so that I don't get too ahead of myself, which is a thing I always worry about. This is from old flashbacks to really, really bad times in my life. But yeah, so it was rough for things like that. And especially, I mean, last year we really did have, we've kind of every year we've had something happen with someone, right? Because that's just the nature of being in a community that's so big and is sort of filled with people from so many different areas of the world, right? But I think the last year in particular was pretty rough for that. Anyway, I'm going to kind of get away from the whole year as a general topic now, because we're getting kind of late into the video. I'll just actually talk about my last week so we can kind of get back on track for when I don't do this again next week. So yeah, last week, what's been going on? So obviously it was the new year. The new year was great. I mean, I basically had almost a full sort of 2-week holiday from work, which I really enjoyed. And it just meant that I had a lot of stuff lined up and I was really excited. So obviously we had Christmas. And what's crazy about Christmas is that I've made a video about this before, about talking about, I'm actually going to move this off this housing, about talking about sort of Christmas and how it just doesn't hit the same anymore. And it still is the same, unfortunately, for, you know, this last Christmas, like the last 2 weeks. The one that's out this year, though, is like I had a way more fun Christmas Eve than Christmas Day and like Boxing Day and all that. And I think I realized it's because I do just spend a lot of time with my family anyway. So I think Christmas is like unanimously seen as, you know, you surround yourself with family. But I don't have many members of my family like alive that I like actively like I'm close to or anything that we do anything at Christmas with. Like I just hang around with my family that I live with for Christmas, or like sisters who I see twice a week anyway. So like nothing special happens at Christmas because we often will just spend time together. And I think that's kind of why I also struggle with Christmas, because there is not much special about it. And like this year, that's why it was so weird to like actively be like, yeah, I enjoyed Christmas Eve more than Christmas Day and Boxing Day, because I just sat doing stupid stuff for like 12, 13 hours straight with friends in Discord, and it just felt wholesome. Because, you know, they say it's like friends are like your found family, right? And it felt really special this year. And that was like, as far as like the Christmas weekends, like holiday goes, like that's sort of the standout enjoyment for me. I think in general Christmas this year though was like better than it has been previously. I think Christmas Eve really like perked up my mood, but in general sort of the present stuff hasn't been as bad as it has been previously. I mean, I've once again I've kind of noted how I struggle with Christmas and gifts in general, because I spend a lot of time and effort kind of putting in ideas for other people, and it's hard to sort of see that not be reciprocated a lot of the time. Even though like I know people do mean well, I think sometimes things can really easily be overlooked. And I often get pestered by like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? And oh, you're so hard to buy for, blah, blah, blah. Which didn't really get that much this year. Although that being said, I did also have this year someone just entirely forget to buy me a present because they thought they contributed to someone else's. And it was like, okay, I can understand thinking that, but like you double check, right? Because like I do that. Like you know, this year, like I put money towards something else as someone's present. But I double checked. I was like just making sure, you know, my money is being put towards this for that, so the person definitely still had something from me. But not, you know, not everybody's me. And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, I'm like the perfect person, because I'm not. But like, just in the sense that not everybody works the way I do, right? So I can't. I can. That's the thing I struggle with a lot. Like I need to allow myself to feel upset by that while also not holding it against someone, you know. But like I say, that was kind of just the one kind of drawback, and that kind of has been sorted. So, yeah, you win some, you lose some. Like I say, in general, it was pretty good. And then, of course, New Year was fun. I mean, I had a lot of excitement because we had the Lads New Year sort of celebration again this year that I put together. Special shout-outs to Chesgram Showdown and Amy and Velvet, who run Cube, because they both hosted private events for us this year for Lads, which is really appreciated. None of them were streamed this year like Remix was, but that's because I made Remix last year, so, and my ass was not doing that again, because low-key, it was not anywhere near good for my standards. So it was a cool idea. It was a one-time thing. Maybe it'll return on one day, but you never know. And then my Lads End of the Year quiz, which I get really excited about hosting. I don't know what it is, but I just really enjoy it, you know, just going back through the year with the good times that we had and things like that. It's something I really look forward to, and then when it passed, I was like quite disappointed. I felt like there was kind of like a void inside me once it was gone, but it's what it is. And then finally we had this awesome stuff that I just recently came back from, which was a start of the year trip, which was great. So we can see it. One side note, one weird thing about this channel, I like to avoid using specific individuals' names in this channel just in case. Like, I'm gonna just continue doing it anyway, but I don't know, it feels weird. But anyway, so we came to the UK, and we basically ended up doing, like, a, like, trip around that. Even though it, like, wasn't, like, fully just, like, with them. Like, we hung with them a bit, but, like, it basically was an excuse to do something, and we also ended up still hanging out with them in the end more than I think I expected to, which was a lot of fun. And that trip in general was great. I mean, it's a good way to start the year in general. Just, you know, good positive vibes. Although, as you can hear by my voice, I am now ill, so I don't know who to blame for that one, but I do know that I'll probably be getting the blame if other people all of a sudden start being ill. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Didn't do all too much, to be fair, as far as like trips go. We just sort of did the hijingo, which is great. We won a Roomba, which was hilarious. Then we just kind of just sort of talking. Did some virtual darts, watched a show, watched Hadestown, which Hadestown, I'm not going to speak too much about on Hadestown in this video, because I don't know. I think it was good. There are a few songs that are currently rent-free in my head, but I think in general, like, I really hate, I've said about this before, I hate when media has bad endings, like sad endings, because, like, especially in the context of this show, I just don't think it was necessary for the message the show was trying to tell. Or at least the message the show seemed like it was trying to tell. Like, it feels like they just kind of switched up to a different message, like, last minute. And I just wasn't vibing with that, because, like, that kind of sense of... Kind of the message they wanted to send kind of directly contrasts with kind of like how I view things, which was kind of like, but it seemed like it was actually the opposite, and it was like directly agreeing with everything that I like think, and I was like, wait, Loki, this is a vibe. Like, there's some fire lines in some of those songs, and like, some of the characters are like, oh wow, that's just me for real. Like that guy's me. But then the show just kind of goes the way it does at the end, and it's one of those things where like you watch something or play something and you have to like look it up afterwards and be like, wait, but why did this happen? And the answer is no one truly knows. Everybody's just speculating, and that's kind of, you know, when media does that, where it's like they purposely leave something more ambiguous so it can be open to interpretation, like it's a goddamn English assignment, which I don't mind sometimes, but also you don't gotta be that cryptic. Like, things can be open to interpretation and still, like, done in a satisfying way, in my opinion. And I don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. Like, I'd watch it again, and I'm listening to the soundtrack, well, a few songs. Because, to be fair, one of the things I would say is that these songs in general were quite forgettable, apart from a few. But, like I said, I did enjoy it, but it's just, like, you know, when it's the same... In fact, wait, this is crazy. It's the same as Cyberpunk Edgerunners, which I actually started watching this time last year, and I had the exact same issue. I enjoyed it, and I was really, really on board with it, and then just something sort of towards the very end just, like, flipped it, and I was like, no! And that's why I'm, like, talking about it, because, like, I cared, and I was like, really with them. I was like, wait, this could be peak. Like, you know, they say that, like, metaphor or whatever, where they're like, oh, do they land the plane when they're talking about, like, a film? Does it have a good ending? And, like, the way I was going to describe it was, like, the plane, it had a shaky, like, liftoff, because the opening was start. Like, the opening was start. The opening was weird for me, personally. But, like, it was a bit shaky, but then I was going to be like, oh, my God, they landed the plane. And I think the way I would put it now, after watching it, is, like, oh, we had a shaky liftoff. We got flying. There was a bit of turbulence, but it was fine. We were moving in the air. We were fine. We landed. We had a good landing, and then all of a sudden, the plane just set on fire once we landed. That's probably the way I put it. And like I say, I did still enjoy it. I'm not trying to like hate on it or anything, I swear, because I have been listening to soundtrack, like I say. It's just when you've enjoyed something and it kind of sets up something and then doesn't follow through with it, and it feels like it's going to resonate so hard with you, like, it's just like rough, man, you know? But anyway, I think that's about it. I'm not kind of gone by the usual format because it's been so long, but I do want to go back to doing these again. It's just kind of finding the time and the stuff to talk about. But, you know, I've rambled for 22 minutes and plus, and this is going to get 5 views anyway. But maybe there's a lot of people here who haven't seen one of these from me before and didn't even know I did them, so you never know. Thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, even if you're just, like, one person watching this. Hopefully the year gets even better from here. I have faith it will. For once this year, I kind of properly wrote down sort of, like, New Year goals. There is one big one, but I ain't going to touch on that in a video. There's kind of one topic I don't really ever want to go into on these videos because it's just, I don't know, it just feels weird. But maybe, we'll see. Thank you guys so much for being here. Regarding events, if that's what you're here questioning, I should be in more events coming up. I think I'm in a sim event soon. I don't know. But there should be more remote events coming up, so I should be streaming a decent bit this year. And then I'll see what other stuff I can kind of get into. You never know where things go. I've been playing a lot of Roblox lately. Maybe I'll start a kid-friendly Roblox channel and make millions of dollars. You never know. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, hopefully I'll get better soon. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.